Zach Johnson may not be the longest hitter on tour, but his career speaks volumes. With 2 major championships and a total of 12 PGA Tour victories, he has earned $50 million in prize money. That's not bad for somebody who doesn't hit it that far. Hey, I don't hit it that far. How come I don't have $50 million in the bank? Well, in this video, we're diving into Zach Johnson's swing, specifically his one-plane tendencies and how they've contributed to his success. This isn't just about admiring his career, this is about proving a point. You don't need to crush the ball to win at the highest level. I'm going to break down the cause and effect relationships in his swing, showing why it's so effective for precision and consistency and what we can learn to improve our own game. And real quick, guys, if I appear quiet throughout this video, it's late at night. Everyone's asleep, so I gotta keep it down. But I wanted to tell you, tomorrow we got a good video coming out. Do you slide your hips? Do you not slide your hips? We got 2 competing YouTube channels, quite big ones, that contradict each other. Who do you listen to? We're gonna find out tomorrow. So tune in for tomorrow. And then Sunday, Red Light Live. Send me your videos, face on down the line. I'll help you out for free. Let's get going. So when you see this swing, Zach Johnson, the thing that comes to my mind with Zach is the ability to control the ball much better than his peers. Not necessarily about distance, but it's about placement for him, and it definitely worked in his career. Now, I think that the average amateur could take a page from this book because sometimes we focus so much on distance that we start to sacrifice positions. Now, one plane. What makes a one plane swing? So before we break down his swing in detail, I want to give you some ideas of what we're looking for in terms of the one plane. Now, I'm not a huge fan of lumping people into one plane, 2 plane, stack and tilt, square to square, rotary. It's just who you are. So just for argument's sake, we're going to look at what one plane versus Zach has in connection or similar with each other. So Zach's backswing stays on a relatively flat plane, and his arms and shoulders rotate in sync, which is very key. He basically keeps his hands more out in front of his chest. What we're looking for is at the top of his swing here, we will see that his arms do a pretty good job of staying out in his chest. Even if you go back a little bit further, that's right when his transition happens. Now, what you'll notice with Zach is he does not have a huge turn like we see other touring professionals, and we're going to do this in Barney Purple. We can see that that is shy of 90 degrees, which is a pretty rare thing when you're looking at the tour pros. And the hips as well don't have a lot of turn as we see others, but what he does do is he keeps a very steady, stable lower body, which is another characteristic of one plane mechanics. Now, it's very important to have a steady lower base because just like a building, if your base is more steady, what happens to the building? It's going to withstand more. If you have a base that moves all over the place, now timing has to be involved. So the great thing that he does in this position is if we draw this in green, we can see that his spine angle is just basically coiled around his starting position. So if we go back to the starting position here, we can see that it's still coiling around that initial spine angle. And we know it's the initial spine angle because look at the shoulders. And we'll draw this in yellow. We'll draw the shoulder tilting. So it's perpendicular to the shoulders, and all he does is turn around a very stable lower body. How stable, you ask? Well, let's just take a look here. We're going to draw a blue line right around that right hip. And we will notice right in that right hip region, when he takes his backswing, we will see how there's gap there between this, where his right hip was, and where it is now. So we know for a fact that all he is doing is turning and pivoting that right hip joint. And the great thing about this is by doing that, what happens to that right hip joint? Does it get closer or does it get further from the target? Well, if you guess closer, you are correct. And for the life of me, I cannot find my arrow, so let's just draw this in red. We see that the hips work their way closer. Now, this is important because this will position his drive from the top of the swing to impact. We will see the drive of the hips left towards the target, and we see that right there. So now the drive happens. So essentially, look at the hips again. We'll draw it in blue one more time. And right there is where his hips are. We'll back up just to show you one frame. So look at the spacing. It goes from here at start. As he turns, it gets closer. As he drives, it gets even closer. What is he ensuring? He is ensuring correct weight distribution so he can drive left. Now that is important because as he strikes the golf ball, we notice what did not drive left is his upper body. So you notice where the yellow and the green meet right in this area here. Guess what is still there? The center of his chest. And this is huge for him because let's clear up these lines. And what we're going to do is draw a nice yellow line right on his new spine angle. So you notice how his new spine angle is tipping further back. He did not fall back there at all. What he did was ensure his lower body drove towards the target. By doing this, naturally your upper body is going to tilt back to keep you in balance, because if you take a look at where the ball is, that's basically his balance point. And if we draw a green line where the spine angle is and where that centeredness is from his ball position, we're going to try and put these two together. So there's that straight-ish line. That is the center of his circle. Now if we go back to the beginning, where is his center now? So let's redraw his center. So we're going to draw this in burny purple. We're going to draw his spine angle straight up, and then we're going to draw a circle. Let's do the circle in blue. So we have the startup circle, and then as we strike the golf ball, we now have the impact center. And what happened to the center? Which way did that center shift? The center shifted towards the target. So this will show you how he is using that leg drive to move the weighting towards the target. He is not sacrificing his tilting because the upper body did fall back as a direct result of the leg drive. So that is number one. Number two that really helps us is what we usually talk about here is your correct setup. So here we have yet another top touring professional setting up more like I would like you to set up and shy away from the forward presses, because all this does is create consistency because it's less timing involved to get your shaft angle to match your spine. Now typically with our forward pressers we get a shaft angle that is pointing down. Now you had better figure out a way to get it to point up at impact, so you've either got to close this gap up. Another option is to move the body weighting. Another option is to throw your hands. So we see a lot of forward pressers suffer unless they have a really good body motion that can manipulate and get in positions that most of us cannot. So this is something I really stress and encourage everybody to focus more on. And why is this? Because it all comes down to your centeredness. So if we draw our favorite circle here, basically showing you where your shaft is, and this shaft is pointing slightly up in the sky. This is a lot easier to swing up on from this position than forward pressing. Forward pressing, you de-loft the club and now you have to add that loft back somehow, and most of the time you have to do it with your body, but most of the time we cannot because we don't have bodies like Gumby and we start throwing our hands. But if we go straight down into impact, we already saw how much his hips have moved over to the left side, so his center of his hips is well to the left of that, ensuring the weight distribution. But look at the upper body, we know why it stays behind. We also get this angle here, so we know the hand path at this point will escape perpendicular to that. So watch the hands will escape up that hand path. So this allows him to still strike up, stay more connected, and you don't need to swing as hard to still hit it pretty flush. So if you're looking for something that resembles one plane-ish and your body style kind of suits this, you're looking for compact and effective backswing. You're looking to stay connected with your upper body rotation. You're looking to have a stable lower body. You're looking to focus on rotation over hand manipulation. And the setup is all about rotation versus hand manipulation. Set up correctly, focus on keeping things more compact, and you will be surprised that if you get your swing to be a little bit more consistent in the setup, how much easier it becomes with less work. Just to give you an idea, the PGA Tour average club head speed is 114. He's fall between 108 and 112, so he's not that far off. Ball speed, his is about 155. Launch angles 12 to 14, which is great. The spin rate, you're looking at 25 to 2800 for him, which is a little on the high side for those guys. But one of the reasons is to promote control over distance. And the carry distance, he's still 265, 275, which is well above the scratch average. Remember, scratch golfers hit a 250 on average, so you don't have to hit it that far to become a good golfer. Get length out of your mind. Focus on consistency first. Once you get consistent, even if you consistently hit a 20-yard fade, a 20-yard draw, some might consider that a rope hook. So let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you on Sunday, Red Light Live Series. Don't forget that video tomorrow. Do you bump your hips? Do you not bump your hips? We'll find out tomorrow. Hope that helps you. Fairways and greens.